Hey guys, it's time to take you back. We're going to go back here to the glory days of baseball simulators, the 1980s. I came across this just the other day when I was getting ready for this OOTP project. I wanted to take a look at the old Street and Smith yearbook for 1986 and figure out what the things were looking like for the Mets. And it just so happened that I found a copy of this on the Internet Archive, which is great. And let's go take a closer look at this, shall we? So we'll go over here to the screen view. There we have it. And we'll go through a little bit at a time. We'll get rid of... how do I get rid of this? There we go. And this is back Larry Fritsch cards. I'm pretty sure that this guy was well known in the hobby, the baseball card collecting industry. We won't look too closely at that. Official 1928 World Series emblem engraved on the back of the watch. I bet you could find that on eBay for cheap. And right off the bat here, we have Status Pro Baseball, Superstar Baseball, and Pennant Race, all the Sports Illustrated games right off the bat in this magazine. And yeah, as we will see as we go through this is kind of like heaven for those of us interested in this hobby. Here's a advertisement for Time Travel Baseball, game I'm not really all that familiar with. I'm not that surprised, actually. When I look at this now, I think, yeah, this is very computerized, but I mean, the font is just killer, right? But whatever, you might have played this game. I'm also a little bit curious about how many dice you're actually rolling and exactly how this game would work. So one of these games I don't know very much about. And we'll skip on forward. See, the baseball stuff's not so interesting, is it? This book, by the way, I used to have a copy of this. This is great if you like little pictures that look like about that big. Not so good. And here is the APBA advertisement. You'll notice that the key feature of the APBA advertisement was the board game, not the computer game, which had just come out for IBM or IBM compatible. You'll also notice that there's no mention of the Apple version, which I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure was still active and being sold in 1986. They got rid of the Apple version due to lack of sales. Well, that's what happens when you don't market it. Anyway, we'll go forward, and there's Strat-O-Matic right off the bat. So we're only about halfway through this, and we've already seen advertisements from some of the real big players. Let's see what else we can find in here. So we'll skip through the rest of this. I think this is freely available, if I remember right, on the Internet Archive. If not, then my apologies. I may have gotten it from a different source. Here is the Replay Games ad. Replay Baseball, of course, on the market since 1973, and was started by two fans of APBA who I think were pretty upset at the original APBA convention when Dick Seitz didn't want to talk with them at all. And I think they may have actually been ejected from the event or something like that for bringing along a different baseball game. That tells you a little bit about Dick Seitz. There's a lot more that we could say about him, but we'll leave that for later. But there's an advertisement in here as well, and I mean, it says things here like this, right? This is your chance to manage Dwight Gooden and his spectacular fastball, to call on Vince Coleman for that clutch stolen base, and to see George Brett launch another run-scoring long ball. Yeah, the thing is, though, every one of these games lets you do that, right? What makes your game different, right? That's what you have to focus on, not what makes it the same as every other one. Ghost League Baseball, rotisserie and computer league players, and so on and so forth. Yeah, that was what the future was. Sports Life Films, yeah. That could you imagine paying like $65 for a series of videotapes, including old World Series highlights or whatever back then, only to turn around, what is it, not quite 40 years later, and discover that everything is free on YouTube in better quality? Whoops. All right, and there's Pursue the Pennant. Pursue the Pennant, which had just been launched, looks like a half-page ad. Still around today, of course, is Dynasty League Baseball. Anything else interesting? Fantasy Baseball. Fantasy League Baseball, I don't know very much about that. Most exciting baseball simulation game you'll ever play, Baseball Challenge. Let me know if you know anything about this one. I've never heard of this. I'm sure that somebody out there has. I like the look of this in the outfield. In fact, that reminds me a lot of 4th Street Sports Baseball. So let me know if you know much more about this one, and I'll probably have to look this up and see if I can figure out more information. Again, Ghost League Baseball once again. Wow, Random House Thesaurus and College Dictionary. Interesting. Interesting that they would advertise that here. Yeah, Card Collector's Bible. We'll talk about that a little bit later, I think. scouting report, and so on and so forth. Guides on how to win statistical baseball leagues. This is the sort of thing you used to see in like the APBA journal. People would put out advertisements for stuff like that. If that actually worked or not, that's another question. Baseball Digest, Baseball America, Baseball Wit. Sporting News, of course. And at this point in time, you probably should have had a Sporting News subscription if you were anybody. And let's just see if there's anything else here. I think that we've probably come to the end of the good advertisements for the simulators. Yeah, not much there. Here you go, Sherco baseball simulator. Interesting, I didn't know that there were umpire changes and stuff like that. I do know a little bit about this game, though I've never played it. It might be interesting, though, to go and give this one a look. And so that's another one you could look into. And that just about does it here. I mean, baseball cards were so big back then. Wow, you could buy an 86 top set already for only $17. You can get it for cheaper today. I bet you could get it for $2. There's so many like possible 86 top sets out there that it's crazy. Oh, and look at who this is, Dave Koch. Look at that, of Action PC baseball fame. Interesting. So those of you who are familiar with Action PC, go check this out and ask him about this. I had no idea that he was a baseball card dealer. Interesting stuff. New and hard to find sets. Yeah, right. Not so hard to find. May have seemed hard to find at that time. And here near the back is Micro League Baseball. We'll play around with Micro League, I think, a little bit later. It's been a long time since I've really played it. I would want to play like the original version and see what it's like. So we have to go way, way back to see that. But a lot of fun to be had there as well. So there you have it. I mean, again, this is from 1986. Having a game like that on the computer in color in 86 would have been pretty impressive, I'll tell you that. Once again, if you want to look this up yourselves, this is the Street and Smith Baseball Yearbook for 1986. And so the reason for looking at this, of course, is not just to like show stuff off, but rather to ask ourselves, so what happens today, right? Back in those days, if you wanted to get people to know more things about the game that you had just created and the game that you're trying to market, you had places to advertise. You had places where you could say, hey, check this out, and people could look at it and say, oh, I'm interested or I'm not or whatever. It's different these days. While, yes, on the internet, theoretically, you have infinite reach, it's not really infinite, right? The truth is that the places that baseball fans go these days are a lot different than the places that they went back then, right? There are places on the internet where people go, but you can't go onto like the baseball subreddit on Reddit and just write a post and say, check my game out and get a whole bunch of traffic diverted to your site. What you need to do is you need to have the ability to do some sort of study or something that's in depth or something that is of general interest, and then use that to sort of attract people to look at this and see if you can get them to figure out what you're using and how you conducted the study and stuff like that. That's the way that it kind of works. Unfortunately, we just don't have this anymore. The days of print publication are done. We can complain about it. We can, pine for the days of the Sporting News or now Sports Illustrated, which is basically gone. But, I mean, the truth of the matter is that, it's just different. It's changed. It's different. And that's what happens with the world. Things change, but life still goes on. Anyway, that's it for me. Talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.